Okay, so today we'll be continuing yet another part of the chapter 7 because the chapter is quite long. So in this one we learn about plants. So before this we learn about algae, and one of the algae is called the green algae. So they are called green because they have chloroplast in it. So chloroplast enable them to use the energy of the sun to make food, but they don't actually have the tissues which are very detailed, very specific. They're just single cell with chloroplast. But what if you have a single cell with chloroplast, but the cell is modified to do their job better? Okay, so that's what you have, plants. Okay, so plants, unlike algae, they are multicellular. They have many cells, but still they share the same thing, which is photosynthesis. They can fix carbon and release oxygen, and then they are the foundation of all life on land. So because of that, they are able to support a lot of other lives on Earth. Okay, the whole food chain is actually supported by them because they are the initiator of the food chain. So every food chain would start from them, because they are the only ones who can create food, literally out of thin air. Okay, so about Kingdom Plantae, it has around 200 to 215,000 species of plants, and a huge chunk of it, 290,000, are seed plants. So the other like 45,000 are usually probably seedless. No, 25,000 are seedless. Okay, so plants, they're all multicellular. They have many cells. They're all eukaryotic, in that they have nucleus within the cell, and then they all have a cellulose cell walls. So they have cell walls made out of cellulose, and all of them can create their own food, which is photosynthetic and also autotrophic. And within them, they have chloroplast. Chloroplast, and within chloroplast, they have chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is the pigment that is green color, and they store reserve food as amylose or starch. Okay, so amylose is what we call starch, and starch is what we call complex sugar. Okay, you have a lot of sugar which are all bound into like a long chain which is branched. Okay, so how did modern plants evolve? So they started as an aquatic based being. Okay, so they want to move to land, but land actually has a lot of problems. There's no water. Kind of like no water around, but there are water in the ground. Okay, they mean that because there's no water around them, there's no support, and also it is drier. Okay, a lot of the ground is actually drier than the sea, so they have to adapt. Okay, so the most simplest form of a plant, which is the ancestor of all plants, is the green algae. Okay, so these are actually protists, or the single cellular organisms that all they combine into like this colony that looks like plants. Okay, so they depend on water, but slowly after they want to move to land, their cells actually evolve into something that is much more hardy, much more tough, so that they can conquer the land. Okay, so on land there's no plants need minerals. Okay, but the thing is, in the water, minerals are all floating inside the water, because all minerals, they are aqueous. They are also hydrophilic because they're ion. Okay, but how do they get minerals on the land? They have roots, so roots will be absorbing the water and minerals, and then gravity, and also increase in height for light. So the thing is, gravity will pull everything down. Underwater, the water's own pressure is actually able to withstand gravity. It is able to prop the seaweeds kind of straight like that. Okay, because of the forces acting on it. But gravity on land, because there's no water around them, they just pull the plant down. So they need to be stronger. Other than that, light is really hard to get, so they need to become taller and taller. Okay, so they have lignin and cellulose in cell walls. So lignin and cellulose these are all will make the plant cell tougher, because they're tough, they can actually build all the way up, okay, taller and stronger. Okay, so other than that, plants, if they want to go to land, they need to distribute the nutrition better, because their size is because they don't need to send the nutrients very far away, so they are just small. But what if they want to go on land? They want to send, because they want to become taller to get the sunlight, but it actually makes the cells much more far in distance. So due to that, it cannot just be small, it must be tall, it must be big. And so nutrition distribution must be better to supply the whole plant with the nutrients. So that's why they have vascular transport system. Xylem or phloem, they are able to give the water and also food from the top of the trees to the bottom near the roots. Okay, other than that, because they are no longer in the sea, they are all dry. Environment is dry, no water. So what do? They have to have vesicle cuticle and stomata with gut cells. So these cells, they're able to prevent water loss. Okay, this slide much more better. Okay, so if you look at the adaptation to land, all of these are kind of like saying that Earth is back in the day is kind of dry, kind of hard. The soil is hard, and there's no support. So the plant will evolve themselves to make sure that they can live on land. Okay. Okay, so reproduction. So reproduction, back when they are in the aquatic environment, they're able to just to reproduce in a very easy way. They can just do budding. Okay, but for land, they need to actually have variety. They need to have a cell that is able to move, so they have pollen turning sperm. Okay, so plant life cycle has alternation of generations. So the thing is, for humans, we have two sets of chromosomes. Okay, we have 46 chromosome, which is 23 from the father, 23 from the mother. So paternal 23, maternal 23, right? So we are always in the what do you call it, diploid type of condition, two sets of chromosomes. But only in our sex cells, ovum and sperm, then we have only one set, so it's half. So for plants, it is like most of the time they are diploid or sporophyte, but these sporophyte, they will do meiosis, and then they will create a cell which is having just half of their chromosomes, which is called the haploid number, in the form of gametophyte. So gametophyte, if you look at the name gamete, it is the sex cells. So gametophyte will be the cells which is for reproduction in plants. So they have the egg, they have the sperm. In this case, the sperm in plants, there can be either regular sperm, or in much more advanced plants, this sperm will actually become something called pollen. Okay, so pollen is actually plant sperm. Okay, if you want to think about it. Okay, so in vascular plants, sporophyte generation is dominant. So means that any plant that has xylem and phloem, if you see them, if you see the trees and plants on the earth, you know that this is the sporophyte. Okay, but for non-vascular plants, okay, any plant that doesn't have any xylem phloem, usually the one that you see on the ground, on the land, that looks like a tree, they are not actually sporophyte, they are gametophyte. Okay, so the one that is forming that structure is something that has half the chromosomes. Okay, so why is it specific to plants? Okay, so the thing is, if you can see here, it is specific because in plants, they actually have a stage where they have to live as usual, and then they have to do meiosis to make spores. Okay, and then this actually can make themselves be spread even more, because from one cell you get 4. So 4, similar to fungi. So means that it can disperse quite further. So why by mitosis become gametophyte, and gametophyte will become gametes and zygote. Okay. So usually you have sporophyte, which is the 2N stage, and then gametophyte, which is the N stage. For human, we don't have gametophyte. Okay, because human, the egg itself, ovum, it cannot live just by itself. Gametophyte is like if you have the sperm or egg, they can live alone. Okay, they can live alone without any help. Okay, and then if somehow they meet ovum, then they become zygote, right? Okay, for human, it cannot be like that because humans, the sperm can only live for 2 minutes, and egg outside of the body, it can just be alive for like around 2 or 3 minutes, and then it dies. Okay, they cannot live by themselves. But for plants, some plants, their spores can grow into a structure that is called gametophyte. Okay. Then the gametophyte will create gametes. Okay. So there are 4 main phyla of plants. There are mosses, ferns, gymnosperm, and angiosperms. Okay. Mosses is called bryophytes, 15,000 species. Ferns is pterophytes, you already know. They are kind of like leaves but without a trunk. So you know that tree usually have trunk and branch and then leaves, but for fern, no branches, no trunks, it just leaves all the way, right? Gymnosperm, they have trunk, they have branch, but the leaves are all like needles, so they are called cone-bearing plants. And angiosperm, these are all regular plants. You have trunk, branch, leaves, so they have the whole package of a plant. Mosses, they don't even have leaves, they don't even have branch, they don't even have a trunk. They are just green and they grow really, really close to the ground. So they are kind of like grass. Okay. So let's start with the beginning, the non-vascular plants. So these plants do not have xylem or phloem. So to bring the nutrient anywhere else in the cell, they just do diffusion. That's all they do. And also because they are so close to the ground, they're always close to the water. Okay, and they're always wet, so they actually do not need the water transportation system in the body. So you find this always near the mountain, near the rivers or waterfalls. So they're always moist and wet because they don't have xylem phloem, so they need water all the time. If they don't have water at all, then they will die. Okay, so yeah, if you look at them, this is actually a zoomed in picture. They are actually very, very small. Okay, so the plants in the bryophytes, they do not grow as tall, and the cell must be close contact with moisture, and materials move by diffusion cell to cell. Okay, so it is very, very close. They will give the water to the neighboring cell. They will pass the water around, and they don't have pollen, they have sperm. So the sperm must swim to the egg through water droplets. So this is another advantage about being close to water. If they are close to water, okay, they can nourish themselves, and also the sperm can swim. Okay, as you can see here, this is the sperm of the bryophyte. It has a lot of flagella, so it will spin while moving. Okay. So Bryophyta would be low growing, live in moist areas, and depend on water. If you look at them, okay, they don't have leaves, don't have stems, don't have roots, no seeds, and there's no xylem phloem. So if you look at the structure, okay, this structure is what we call the gametophyte. Okay, growing from the diploid body, which is called the sporophyte. So what you can see here within these things are the gametes being created. Okay, and so there are two types of this gametophyte. You have the male and female. The male is called antheridia. Okay, antheridia, it is a male, and ova in archegonia. So if you look at the name sperm has er. Antheridia has er also. Antheridia, sperm. And archegonia, if you look at the middle part of the word is egg. So ova is egg. So archegonia has egg inside. Okay, or ovum. So despite being really, really small and you know kind of weak plants, but they are the first one on Earth. On Earth, back in the day, there's nothing else but just these mosses covering the whole Earth like a carpet. Okay, 100 million years of the first age of Earth is just all moss, no trees at all. Okay, so the first moss is what's called the liverwort or Marchantia. So if you look at Marchantia, they are green, but these things right here are not leaves at all. Okay, they don't have structure with just like leaves. These are just called the thallus. Okay, thallus will be just sporophytes. Okay, no, sorry, not sporophyte. It is a gametophyte. Alright. Okay, and then what will grow from it is the gametophyte or the structure for reproduction. We have the egg archegonia, and they have the sperm anteridia. Okay, so this thing right here, this thallus, the male and female can grow together. Okay, so they are male and female, they grow on different thalluses. So this one is just for male, this one is just for female. So they are called dioecious. Okay, so Marchantia life cycle, you start with the protonema, which is forming from the haploid spore. Okay, where is it? Protonema, okay, not here. So you have the spore. Okay, this is the spore, very small, and then spore would break, and then there's like a long tentacle coming out. The tentacle is called protonema, and the protonema will divide and divide and divide to form this flattened leaf called thallus. Okay, so this thallus is like a flattened leaf. It can be either male or female, and on it you will have the gametophyte forming. You have the male anteridia and female archegonia. Okay, so what are these things purpose is that they will create a lot of gametes. So these small trees, this one is a female, they will create a lot of eggs, and here the male one, anteridia 4, will create a lot of sperm. Okay, sorry, for egg it's just one single egg, but for sperm there's a lot. Okay, as you can see, sperm there's a lot, and then egg is just one archegonium per egg. Okay, so yeah, this thing right here, they look like an umbrella. It is creating one egg per small archegonium, but here in this what do you call it, crankshaft shaped thing, it is creating a lot of sperm on it. Yeah, so if you look at the real picture here, okay, this flattened leaf is called thallus. On thallus, you can see this dreadlock like looking things. These dreadlock looking things are archegonia or archegonia 4. Under these dreadlocks are actually the eggs being created. Okay, this one, this green one is young, the brown one is mature. Okay, so what about the male? The male looks like something that is like something that's flat on top, like a tray. So this is the male one called anteridia 4. On top of this, there's a lot of sperm being created. Okay, so I'm saying sperm because it is not pollen. Okay, pollen is for the advanced plant. Here they still use sperm. So one archegonia 4, one egg, one anteridia 4, many sperm. Okay, and you can see here, this is a thallus that is surrounded by a lot of gametangias. This one that looks like a tree and flower, it is a male. Okay, there's a lot of males. And this one that looks like dreadlocks, this is the female one. Okay, so the male sperm must make its way from here, drop down all the way, and then swim until it reaches the base of this dreadlocks. You have to swim all the way up. Okay, so what is this cup-like things? These are called gemma cups. This is for asexual reproduction. Okay, so as you can see here, these are all of the archegonia that has been fertilized. So when the sperm is able to swim all the way up and meet the egg, now it becomes a zygote. So mean that both of these cells have met together. They are complete now. They will create a lot of spores, sporophytes. Okay. So what will be created is the Marchantia haploid spores, and then when they grow up, they will form another gametophyte, starting cycle again. Okay. So now we move to hornwort. So remember in liverwort you have a base. Okay, is called thallus. From the base you have the male and female gametophyte just growing on top, right? You have the base, thallus, you have male, female growing on top. But hornwort is a little bit different. They actually form this horn-like thing called sporophyte. Okay, so the sporophyte is this longitudinal horns, but the body itself, the flat body, is the gametophyte. So it is reverse compared to the liverwort. So for liverwort, the base is sporophyte. The plant-like things are gametophyte. But hornwort is different. The base of hornwort is gametophyte. The structure on top of it is sporophyte. Okay. So yeah, they would form these long things called the horns. Okay. So within them, they also have this internal mucilage filled cavities when growth cell break down. So within it, there's a lot of like very moist mucus that is created. Okay. So hornwort life cycle, you have this thing again. It looks like the hornwort's it looks like the liverwort's flattened leaf called thallus. So yeah, this is also named this is also named gametophyte plants. Okay, similar to a thallus, but on top of it that grows is not the gametophyte. Okay, it's not the acogona, it is not the antheridia. Antheridia acogona is actually embedded below the surface. As you can see, this is the leaf. Okay, the leaf-like things called the photonema, right? And then you see there's a lot of pits. On the pits you have the antheridium. Again, it will create sperm, and acogona will create the egg. So somehow when there's rain, this whole area will be flooded, and the sperm can swim all the way into the female part, which is archegonium. Okay, no egg, archegonium. So when they meet together, they will form a zygote, and the zygote will form this long horn-like thing called sporophyte. As you can see, this is foot, meristem. Okay, and then you form really long columella. Okay, it will kind of like grow all the way to top, and then what will happen? They will create spores. Okay, so mosses, if you look at it, they are the largest diverse class of bryophytes, but not like liverwort, not like hornwort, because if you look at liverwort, hornwort, they don't have any leaf. Okay, they moss. Okay, if you look at them, they are on rocks. They have leaves. Okay, liverwort, hornwort don't have it, because what you can see in liverwort, hornwort, they are like long blades of grass. Okay, so gametophyte and moss will be anchored with rhizoids for support as water. Sexual reproduction, they will form gametophytes, in which algal-like protonema arise. Okay, and then under favorable growth condition, they will form substrate leafy roots, okay, along protonema. Okay, so how do they look like? They look like plants, regular plants. Okay, so it's like long, and then you have leaves on the sides. Okay, so it's all start from here. Okay, you have the spore. Okay, the spore can be male or female. So if it's they will form photonema first, and the photonema will become either a male or female gametophyte. So in this case, if you look at the previous one, hornwort. In hornwort, the gametophyte is the base of the leaf, and then what growing is the sporophyte. In here in mosses, it kind of reverse again. So instead of having like a base where the gametophyte will grow, the gametophyte itself is the plant. Okay, you have either the male gametophyte plant or the female gametophyte plant. Okay, there's no such thing as sporophyte. The sporophyte just appears for a while. Okay, you can see this is male and the female. The male will create the antheridium with sperm. The female will have archegonia with egg, and then because this is underwater, the sperm will swim all around until it meets the egg. Okay, when it meets the egg, it form as an embryo. So in this embryo will form something like a long neck with something like a walnut shape on top. Okay, so where does this thing appear? This thing appear in the female after it's being fertilized. Okay, you form this thing, and then this cap will actually open. So what's in this cap? There is a lot of spores, and the spores will continue growth into the gametophyte again, the male or female gametophyte. Okay, so yeah, for most of the time for this plant, for this moss, they are always in a half amount of chromosomal content. Okay, so they only have half the chromosomes as this plant. Only after they fertilize, they have a brief bit of a moment where they are actually 2N, when they have all chromosomes, and then after the meiosis, they become one again. Okay, so for typical moss, this is the antheridial head, this is the archegonia head. So these both are actually on top of this really long branch with a lot of leaves inside. So this is the body. Okay, if it is a male, it has this head. If it is female, we have this head on below. Okay, so when the sperm is released, it will swim all the way into the egg cell through the venter. It will form embryo like this, and then the embryo will form something like a long shape. You have the foot in the archegonia chamber, and the seta will be going long all the way long, and then the capsule will be on top with a calyptra, which is a walnut shape. Okay, so here after it becomes quite tall, the calyptra will fall off and capsule will burst to create spores that will become the male or female moss. So here, as you can see, male and female moss, the body look like the same. It's just that the head is different. Male head and female head is different. Okay, so as you can see here, the stem are non-vascular. If you cut them, okay, they don't have xylem flower, and leaves also, they don't have xylem flower. They are just leaves, just there. Okay, and instead of having roots, they have rhizoids. Okay, all right. So when the calyptra is removed, you have the spores coming out. The spores will create a new life. Okay, you have the protonema, you have the bud. So the bud will become a new young gametophyte. Okay, so now we move to the second part of the plant family. You have the vascular plants. So vascular plants are plants with a xylem flower. Okay, so with xylem flower means that they are able to transport water and nutrients in a very large distance. Okay, and they have roots, stems, leaves. Okay, and dominant generation will be not gametophyte but sporophyte. So you have seedless and seed bearing. Okay, seedless vascular plants, you have any plants that still have spores. They still use spores to create their offspring. They don't have any seeds. So meaning that it's just a cell, a baby cell, what's called a zygote, with no food source. If you look at seeds, right? Seeds are the zygote with a surrounding food source. Okay, that's why you can actually eat the cempedak seed. You can actually eat sunflower seed, because within that seed there is a food source for the zygote. Okay, but for seedless vascular plant, they don't have that. Okay, so they can only sprout in areas which are suitable for them. Okay, if the area is suitable, the spore will sprout a new plant. If that is not very suitable, they'll just die. Okay, because they have no flower, no fruit, no seeds, and they have true leaves. Okay, that's good. Okay, can make more food, and he has stem underground but no actual roots. Okay, so the life cycle is a little bit similar to moss, but a little bit advanced. Okay, so what does it mean by similar? They actually create this flattened leaf called the the prothallus. Okay, it look like a heart, but it is on the ground. Okay, and then they have a lot of holes. Some of the holes have the male sperm. Some of them have the female. Okay, and the sperm must be swimming into the or inside of the cogonia, so that you can fertilize, and then the mature egg will create a young sporophyte. Okay, so you can see here, this leaf-like thing, it just sprouts from this base leaf or prothallus without any sperm, without any stem, without any branch. It is just leaves coming out of another leaf. So you have leaf and then leaf coming out, right? And then this leaf will unroll into the thing that we call the fern. Okay, so you can see, when it's unrolled, it is called the fiddle head. Okay, because it looks like a violin's head. So it will unroll into these leaves. Okay, so if you have seen this shape, okay, it is also the logo of the New Zealand rugby team for All Blacks. So All Blacks, their logo is a fern. So yeah, this fiddle head will uncoil into this leaf called fronds. So this whole body of the plant is this leaf. Okay, they don't have trunks, they don't have branches. Okay, so you have whisk fern, club moss. Okay, not the same as the previous moss. Okay, you have bonus frog here. They have tree fern and then horsetail. So all of these, they don't have branches, they don't have a trunk, they have leaf and no seed, just xylem flower. Okay, so now we move quickly to seed-bearing vascular plants. So in this case, they have something that the fern doesn't have. They have seeds. Okay, mean that the embryo, it is surrounded by a tough covering. Okay, and then it might be covered by a sweet covering called the fruits. So you have gymnosperm and angiosperm. So gymnosperm is exposed seed. As you can see here, there is a seed without fruit surrounding it. So just a seed. Okay, here is an apple. Apple is a fruit, but what is the fruit containing? It is containing a seed. So the actual baby of the plant is the seed. It is surrounded by a fruit. Okay, so because of that, it's called the vessel seed. So the seed is actually in a vessel, which is a fruit. Why? Because the organisms eating the fruit, they will help in dispersing the seed. Like us, like monkeys, like any herbivores, they will eat whatever, right? And then they move around, and then they poop very far away. So the seed will also come out of the poop, and then they will grow. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why they have fruits. Okay, so gymnosperm is conifer and relatives, and angiosperm is flowering plants. Okay, so gymnosperm have heterosporous, mean that the spores have two different shapes. One is big, one is small. Mega or big spore is for the female. Okay, and microspore is for the male. Okay, but for angiosperm also the same. The spores are different. Male is small, female is big. So female is in ovary, male is in the anther. So you remember antheridium, okay, from the previous mosses. So now it is just anther. It's not radium anymore, because it is not a whole plant. It's actually part of the flower. Okay, you have the flower. The flower itself is the sex organ of the tree. Okay, on the flower you have the male and female reproductive system. The male is in the anther, female is in the ovary. Okay, no archegonium or antheridium in this part because they already have evolved beyond that. Okay, other than that, gymnosperm like Christmas trees, they have wind-blown pollen. Okay, no actual flower. Okay, they just have pollen because they don't need animals to disperse their seed. They just need the wind. Okay. So seeds will require no water, dispersed by wind and animals. So if you look at the previous plants, the seedless plant, the moss, bryophyte, they have sperm and also pollen. Okay, the sperm, if they cannot find any ovum, they die. And then the spore, if it arrives on the ground has no food, they die. Okay, but for seeds, right? Seeds, they are able to stay or persist for a long time. They can be dormant. So if you throw a seed on the ground, on the concrete, okay, they probably will not grow. They will probably not grow now, but soon after, if it is exposed to water or soil, it can actually grow. No matter how many years it takes, 5 years, 10 years, okay, they will just stay like that. Suddenly, if the conditions are correct, they can grow. Okay, so they can dormant. So yeah, early Earth has a lot of unexplored terrain. Okay, areas which are quite rocky, quite dry. Okay, so seeds can actually persist until it's suitable enough for it to grow. Okay, other than that, seeds also have endosperm, which is embryonic food. So it means that it is like a lunch, a packed lunch. Okay, when they want to grow, okay, when they start growing, they don't have the ability to do photosynthesis yet. So how can they create food? Okay, seeds actually have food stored inside of it. So it means that they can use the food to grow. Okay, so for gymnosperms are called naked seed. Okay, why? Because the seeds are not covered by the fruits, just like apples. They are just seeds. Okay, so in this case, if you look at one of these trees, right, you can see there's a lot of cones. Within the cone, there's a lot of seeds. Okay, if they are closed, it's really hard to find, but when they're open, you can find it. The seeds mature and ripen. Okay, so within it you have the ovules, which are female gametophytes. Okay, and then water not needed for fertilization, so they're very hardy. So conifer tree, they are cone bearing. Okay, so if you look at this is cone when it is closed, this is cone when it is open. So sometimes people use the cone for Christmas decoration. Okay, and usually in the cone there are the seeds that is within these cones. Okay, this one is hidden, but when it's open, you might find it. Okay, so they are also evergreen. Evergreen means that they don't change color no matter what season. It is always green all year. Okay, so here is the male pine cone. Here is the female pine cone. Okay. So start with the spore. Okay, so you have the male spore will create pollen grain. And pollen grain is blown by the wind to ovule, which is in the female cone. Okay, so this female cone opens, it will allow the pollen to come in. So when they come in, they'll form eggs, and then zygote, and then seed. So this seed will fall down. So usually this seed, the seed of any conifer tree, will be the part that a lot of animals like squirrel will eat. Okay, so if they survive, they are planted onto the ground. Okay, they'll form yet another tree. So it's kind of similar to regular plants, or humans. You have the pollen meeting the ovule, and then the ovule will become the zygote. Okay, so quite similar. Okay, so microspore mother cells, which is 2N, will undergo meiosis to produce microspores. Microspore will form the male gametophyte, which is pollen. Pollen has sperm cell. Inside female, you have the megaspore mother. Megaspore mother will go into meiosis to create the female gametophyte. Okay, but only one will survive to divert it to the female gametophyte. And then one of these that will become a female gametophyte, they will contain the egg. Endosperm, mother cell, will be accessible via a micropyle. So if you look at the term of the micropyle is this like really small tube that runs from the opening of the cell and reaching the nucleus of the female cell. So in this case, the sperm doesn't have to swim just like the moss sperm. It has to dig. It has to dig and make its own tunnel all the way to find the female cell. So once fertilized, zygote develops the embryo within seed, surrounded by endosperm and seed coat. Okay. So next will be Cycadophyta or cycad. Okay. So if you look at cycad, okay, it has a kind of like a structure, and the structure will be surrounded by all of these leaves. Okay. So you go with the female, you have the structure surrounded by the leaves. Okay. So next, let's move to angiosperms. Angiosperm is the final or the peak of the plant evolution. We don't know yet whether they are evolving to something else. Maybe in the far future we'll see another type of plants. But here is the peak of the evolution of plants right now. Angiosperm, which are the flowering plants. So the flowering plants, they also create fruit. So before fruits appear, they are flowers. Okay. Flowers, after they are fertilized, they will form fruits which has seeds. So they depend mostly on animals, not wind. There are two classes, monocot and dicotyledon. So this thing is called a flower or bloom or blossom. This is the sexual organ of plants. So this is the structure that create the sperm or pollen. So just like the testicle. Okay, here will be the ovule or the ovum. So it will be the female cell. So the pollen must be able to stick to the stigma and travel all the way down to the ovule. But it doesn't have to be the same flower. It can be another flower. The pollen from another flower flies and reaches stigma and then go to here to fertilize the ovule. Okay, so you start with two flowers, right? This flower, the anther creates pollen, and this flower, the ovary creates the ovule. Okay. So from one cell to four cell, but in the four cell, only one survives to make the egg cell. Okay, and then this egg cell will form micropyle, synergid, and also antipodal. So only one becomes the egg cell. So here for the sperm, okay, they just divide, and then they become something that's called pollen. And then when the pollen meets this tip here, which is called the stigma, okay, and then there's another cell within the pollen called tube cell. They'll make a tunnel. They'll dig all around. Okay, this is very interesting. They make a tunnel all the way into the ovule so that the regular cell, the generative cell, is able to find the egg. So sperm cell would stay behind. Tube cell will make the road. Okay, they will make the tunnel all the way to the egg. So for human cell do not have to do this because humans have fallopian tube. Okay, sperm can get to the egg by just following the fallopian tube. Okay. But for plants, they make a tunnel, okay, because there's no way to get in. So next, this two cell meet and they become a zygote. So this zygote is the seed coated by seed coat and coated again by fruit. So the body of this let's call it carpel becomes the fruit. Okay. So when this seed is planted, it will reform another new plant. Okay, just as usual. Okay, so I've already have mentioned a lot of this. Okay, but yeah, about flowers only appear to for the plant to breed. So they are colored very brightly. They have honey. They have not honey. They have nectar, and they smell really good. So why are they like that? So that they can attract the pollinators. Okay, because pollen sometimes they don't fly by the wind, because there's no wind, so they need to attract bees, wasps, flies to come near, and then the pollen will be stuck to the bodies. And then because these insects like to go from flower to flower to flower, it means that when they move around, they also spread the pollen to another flowers or ovule. Okay, so yeah, bees are actually very important for plants, because bees are one of the pollinators. And for durians, who is pollinator? Bats and also squirrels. If bats and squirrels are gone, then there will be no more durians. So don't just be too excited. You know, if you go back to village, you like to kill or trap the squirrels or shoot them. Okay, don't do that. They are very important for the durian trees. Okay, so after that, the flower becomes, the petals will fall off, and then the ovule will swell to become a fruit. Okay, so zygote becomes the seed. Okay, endosperm and seed coat would become the fruit. So all of these are actually fruits, if you don't know. Okay, if you look at this is a dandelion. Okay, this is dandelion. This is okay, I forgot what the name is. Cocklebur, I think. This is peanut, also a fruit. And there is a peas. All of these are fruits. It's just that they are not created from the flower. This one is created from the flower, but it doesn't form an endosperm. They form like something like a feather to catch the wind. This one forms a fruit, but it doesn't have an edible part. Okay, nobody eat this. Okay, this fruit actually has really thorny shape to latch on to fur. Okay, here is a peanut. So this peanut, all these peanuts will be underground, so they are not created from the flower. Okay, so these fruit are created underground. It's like an accessory type of flower. Okay, so this one are peas. So you might think that, okay, peas are vegetables. Okay, but the thing is, all of these peas, they are actually created from fruits. So when the pea pollen is fertilized, they form all of these peas. So every pea inside of this casing are zygotes. So how many zygotes that it creates? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, around 6 in each one. If you plant the seed of the pea plant, you don't eat it, you just plant, it becomes a new tree. Okay, so about angiosperm, you have the mono and the dicots. So monocotyledon, mono means one, so it has a single cotyledon. Cotyledon is a seed leaves. So how do you know? If you plant a seed, how many leaf will come out first? So cotyledon, if you plant them, one leaf will come out. So they are mono or one cotyledon. So what is cotyledon? It is the first leaves. Okay. So if you look at the monocotyledon's leaves, they have parallel veins, and floral parts or the flower petals will be in 3, 6, 9, 12, multiples of 3. And then the roots will be like this, all messy. So in Malay we call it akas rabut. So it is like very, very messy roots, but in English we call it fibrous roots. Okay, the Malay word is because it is so messy, so we call it the messy root, the akas rabut. But here in English is fibrous. Okay, so if we break them in half, the vascular bundle, xylem and phloem, it is in a scattered bundle. They are not organized. So next will be dicotyledon. So dicotyledon, if you plant the seed, it will create 2 leaves. So dicotyledon. So if you look at the leaves have branched veins. Okay, so it's like you have a straight shape, and then you have like a V shape. Okay, floral parts or the flower will be in a multiple of 4 and 5. For example, the Malaysian national flower, the hibiscus, has 5 petals, so it is a dicotyledon. Okay, and if you look at the a root, there will be a large main root and a small root aside. Not really messy, it just that it has one big root, so you call it a tap root. Okay, so the tap root will be like you have one very long or very thick root and then some smaller ones going to the side. Okay, and then lastly, the vascular bundles, it is in a ring. Okay, if you look at the mono, it is not organized, but in dye they are organized in a ring. So xylem will be our outer part, okay, the one which is darker. Phloem will be the inner part. Okay, so here are the differences between all four type of Plantae. You have mosses, no leaves, no stem, no root, no pollen, no seeds, no flower, no fruit, but they need water and they have green color. That's what they have. Ferns have leaf, have stem, no root, no pollen, no seed, no flower. Okay, gymnosperm, which is the naked seed. Okay, advanced leaf, advanced stem, advanced root, have pollen, seeds in cone, but no fruit flower. Okay, does water required to fertilization? No, just plant it, it will grow. Okay, if for the flowering plant, have leaf, stem, root, pollen, seeds, fruit, and flower, and also because they have a very prepared seed with endosperm, they don't need water for fertilization. Just plant it, it will grow. So that's the final slide for this.